Hello, hi everyone. Welcome to a new live stream. How's it going? I hope everything is great. Today we are going to learn some good phrases, interesting, helpful phrases about the future. When you want to talk about the future, you can use these phrases, these Spanish phrases, and they will help you communicate a lot of things that you're planning to do or anything that will happen in the future. If you want to let someone know about it, you can use these easy and helpful phrases. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe and also click on the bell icon so you can get notified every time I live stream. I want to give a big shout out to our Cafecito members: Robert Green, Tom Siebold, Ralph Marquez, Brianna L., Ruby Brockenberry, Christopher Michael, William Lopez, Gregory Ramirez, Michael Lee, David Beaver. Thank you guys for the support. El cafecito está delicioso. Muchas gracias por el apoyo. If you want to support the channel, you can also become a Cafecito member. The only thing you gotta do is you need to click on the join button down below to check out the perks and the fee. The fee is it's a monthly fee that is less than $3. Essentially, you're buying me a cup of coffee every month. So if you want to support this channel, if you like what I do, please take a look at that. Just click on the join button down below. Okay, thank you again, Cafecito members. Okay, so let's talk about the future. The future. So many things to talk about the future. So let me show you this. Okay, perfect. Increase your vocabulary with phrases to talk about the future. The future. So you know that very well because I mentioned that quite a few times. So we're gonna learn today around 6 phrases. I think it's just 6 phrases, and they're not difficult. They're flexible, so we can talk about that. We'll see how they work in Spanish, and and we're gonna see, of course, some examples. So the first phrase is, well, it's not a phrase, it's a word. Mañana. What are you gonna do tomorrow? Essentially, we're talking about tomorrow because mañana means tomorrow. Remember the ñ sound, ña, mañana, okay? So it's an easy sound, but you need to practice a little bit to get it right. Mañana, tomorrow. For example, I can say, mañana empezaré a hacer ejercicio. Mañana empezaré a hacer ejercicio. What does this mean? This means I'll start exercising tomorrow. Something that a lot of people say and they end up not doing it. Exercising, it's important. But if you're talking about, what you're gonna do tomorrow, you can use the word mañana. You can place it at the beginning of the sentence or at the end of the sentence. You can say, mañana empezaré a hacer ejercicio, or empezaré a hacer ejercicio mañana. Both ways are commonly used in Spanish, so it's very flexible, and I like that. I like that very much. Okay, mañana, you know what that means. tomorrow, of course. Empezaré, this is future tense, and we're talking about the verb empezar. This is the verb empezar. By the way, today I think I released a lesson about this verb, so check that out because I talk about how to use it and what it means. Essentially, it means start, begin, okay? So this is future tense. Essentially, you're saying yo empezaré, so that means I'll start, okay? Yo empezaré. You don't need yo, you can just say empezaré, okay? And this phrase, by the way, I mean this one here, hacer ejercicio, means to exercise. It's very funny because hacer in Spanish means to do or to make. And well, ejercicio means exercise, to do exercise or to make exercise. That's the literal translation. But when you use the phrase hacer ejercicio, is very similar to saying to exercise, or in this case, exercising. Okay? In this case, because in English, I'll start exercising, right? You don't say I'll start exercise. Well, you can say I'll start to exercise. So yeah, it makes sense as well. But hacer ejercicio means to exercise. Now, a works really well with this verb, empezar a. Okay, when you are going to begin or start to do something. Okay, so if you want to add more to the verb empezar a hacer ejercicio, you need the letter a. Okay, empezar a hacer ejercicio, empezar a comer, empezar a caminar, empezar a estudiar. So a, don't forget about the letter a after empezar because it's commonly used in Spanish when using empezar. Okay, empezar a. Excellent. Now the next example, guys, the next example is, oops, didn't want to do that. Nosotros nos vemos mañana. Nosotros nos vemos mañana. You know what mañana means? You know that, right? Oops. You know that. Mañana means tomorrow. Nos vemos is a very common phrase in Spanish. You can use it by itself when you're saying goodbye. Okay, so it's very similar to saying I'll see you. Okay, so if you say nos vemos mañana, that means I'll see you tomorrow or see you tomorrow. Nos vemos literally means, well, it's it's similar to I'll see you, okay? Or we'll see each other. In this case, tomorrow. Mañana. Mañana. Nos vemos mañana. See you tomorrow. So you can say this just you can say it when you want to say goodbye to someone. Instead of using adios all the time. Adios means bye. You can just say nos vemos mañana. I'll see you tomorrow. So this is a very good one, a very good phrase. Excellent. So now you know that mañana means tomorrow. It's a very basic Spanish word. And if you talk about the future, you can use this word for sure. Mañana. Mañana. Excellent. Remember that I'm live streaming, so you can use the live chat. The only thing you gotta do, you need to subscribe. Only subscribers can use the live chat. Dan, welcome. Hola. ¿Cómo estás? Espero que estés muy bien. Welcome, Dan. Yes, you can also ask questions about what we're learning. You can say hola or hi, like Dan. So, yes, please feel free to use the live chat. Okay, Now, the next phrase, I think we're going to learn phrases now. Mañana is a word, but this one, the next one, I believe it's a phrase. Yes, it is. La semana que viene. La semana que viene. Okay? La semana que viene. Semana means week. So you kind of know what I'm talking about here. A little bit. This means next week. La semana, week, or the week. Que viene, the literal translation is the week that is coming. Okay? The week that is coming. La semana que viene, next week. I know it's longer to say la semana que viene than next week, but that's how you say it in Spanish. That's how you say it. For example, la semana que viene tengo que pagar la renta. La semana que viene tengo que pagar la renta. What does this mean? This means I have to pay the rent next week. Okay? Something many people have to do. La semana, you know what that means. La semana que viene. La semana que viene means next week. By the way, you can use this phrase again at the beginning or at the end of a sentence. Tengo que means I have to. Tengo que trabajar. I have to work. Tengo que comer. I have to eat. In this situation, tengo que pagar. Pagar is a verb and it means to pay. Okay, pagar. La renta means the rent. And of course, la semana que viene, next week. You can also say, tengo que pagar la renta la semana que viene. Okay, that's correct. You can say or use this phrase at the beginning or at the end of a sentence. Very easy, very flexible. Okay, excellent. Let's look at the other example. Todo estará listo. Todo estará listo la semana que viene. Todo estará listo la semana que viene. What does this mean? Everything will be ready next week. Okay? Todo means everything. Todo. Also, it means all, everything. Todo. It can be feminine as well. Toda. Todo. But usually when you're saying, it depends. If you're saying toda la casa, all the house, right? Todo el carro, all the, all of the car, or toda la pizza, all of the pizza, right? So todo can be feminine as well, but we're just talking about everything, just everything as a noun. Todo means you can just say todo, masculine, todo, everything. Estará, future tense, and we're using the verb estar, so it means will be. Listo, ready. Listo can mean ready. It can mean smart or clever. Okay, it depends. In this situation, when you're talking about ready, you use listo, okay? You can say listas, listos. It depends what you want to say. But when talking about everything, you can say listo, okay? Ready, listo. La semana que viene, next week. So very easy. Todo estará listo la semana que viene. Everything will be ready next week. Very easy, very, very easy to use. This phrase is easy to use. By the way, if you want to change, maybe everything will be ready next year or next month, right? So, or next day, the next day. So you can change semana. You can change it to, for example, el año que viene. El año que viene means next year. El año que viene, next year. How about next month? El mes que viene, next month. Okay? El mes que viene, next month. Now, how about next day? Next day, I think for that, it's a bit different. For day, I would say, or it's commonly said, al día siguiente. Okay? Al día, oops, hang on, let me fix that for you. There you go. Al día siguiente. Al día siguiente means next day. Okay, it's different. It's different. Oh, next, next day. Sorry. Next day. Siguiente also means, well, it's very similar to saying next. Siguiente, next. But in this case, al día siguiente means next day. Why are we using al? Because día is masculine, el día. That is because this in Spanish is wrong. A él, we don't have that. When you have this happening, you just remove the letter I and it becomes al. Al día siguiente. Okay? It's not a el día siguiente. It's al día siguiente. Okay. So we said year, month, week, day. And I think that's it. That's it. So just remember this. If you want to add this specific phrase to any of these examples, I would use, in this situation, tengo que pagar la renta. I would use tomorrow though for this. Tengo que pagar la renta mañana. Okay? You don't say al día siguiente. Tengo que pagar la renta al día siguiente. You can say it, but if you want to be more precise, you would say, or more common, a common thing to do is to say tomorrow. Tengo que pagar la renta mañana. Todo estará listo tomorrow, mañana, or al día siguiente. Okay? So in some situations, this can apply. But this phrase is used when you want to, when you're telling some story. This is a common phrase to say. But it's more common to say if you're going to do something the next day, you can just say tomorrow. Okay, so we can talk about al día siguiente more in a future lesson, but al día siguiente means next day. Okay, now let me just change this back really quickly. Okay, La semana que viene. I think I had it like that. Let me just move this up. Next week. Okay, it's interesting to talk about this for sure. If you want to change this to the next year, el año que viene, tengo que pagar la renta. I mean, you don't pay rent every year, but technically you can say el año que viene. El año que viene tengo que pagar la renta. I mean, doesn't make sense, but it works. It's grammatically correct, okay? And this means next year I have to pay rent. Or el mes que viene tengo que pagar la renta. Yes, that also works. That makes more sense, right? You pay rent monthly usually, and this means I have to pay rent next month. Okay? Excellent. And same here. Todo estará listo. El año or el mes. Both can work. It depends on what you want to say. But in this situation, this means todo estará listo el año que viene means everything will be ready next year. Okay? So that works. That's grammatically correct. Okay. But yeah, la semana que viene, next week. That's a common phrase to use. Now the next one, guys. The next phrase is, hang on, I just need some tea. Okay. Dan is asking how to say next weekend. Next weekend. Oh my goodness, Evan Smith, thank you so much for the donation for $4.99. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Evan. Thank you. Okay, so how do you say next week? You're welcome, Evan. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm really happy that you like the lessons. De nada. Excellent. How to say next weekend? Okay, hang on. Let me just go back really quickly. That's a great question. El fin de semana que viene. Next weekend. That's what it means. So for this one, it's very easy. El fin de semana que viene. Tengo que pagar la renta el fin de semana que viene. I know it's a long phrase, but fin de semana, el fin de semana means weekend. It's long. Or just fin de semana. It depends what you want to say, but el fin de semana means weekend. El fin de semana. Okay? And if you add que viene, that means next weekend. ¿Cuándo nos vemos? When do we see each other again? El fin de semana que viene. Next weekend. Okay? So, thanks for asking, Dan. That's a great question. Okay. Next year, yeah, you say el año que viene. Yeah, I mentioned that. El año que viene. Año means year, okay? Año means year. And once again, el mes que viene, next month. El mes means month, okay? El año means year. El fin de semana means weekend. And you can just add que viene. Okay? The only difference is if you want to say next day, you have to say el día siguiente. You cannot say el día que viene, okay? So once again, el día siguiente. Next day. But this one, I mean, just to make it a bit easier, it's better to say mañana, tomorrow. Okay. Oh, also al día siguiente. El día siguiente is the next day, and al día siguiente, next day as well. Next day. Both mean the same thing, but this one is more like a phrase when you want to say next day. Okay? But it's a bit tricky. We need to talk about that one in a future lesson. Excellent. Thank you for your questions, Evan and Dan. Now the next one. Next. En unos días. Oh, I like this one because this one is a bit vague. It's not a precise thing to say. You know, it's not about something precise. Rather, it's just something vague when you're not sure if it's gonna happen tomorrow or the day after or the day after or the day after. So this means, let's see what this means. In a few days. In a few days. I don't know when. In a few days. En unos días. For example, Miguel se irá en unos días. Miguel se irá en unos días. This means Miguel will leave in a few days. Maybe he's going back to his town. I don't know. But you don't know when precisely. You just know that he will spend some days somewhere and then he'll be gone. Okay, so let's break this down. Miguel is Miguel. Miguel is Miguel. Se irá, will leave. Irá, with the accent mark, means will leave. Okay. Now, if it doesn't have the accent mark, it means anger. Did you know that? Did you know that without the accent mark, without the tilde, that means anger. So just like this. So if you have it like that, that means anger, okay, or wrath. So don't forget the accent mark. Some people forget, Spanish speakers forget to add the tilde, the accent mark, to some words, and that's okay. That's okay. But if you want to have good grammar, it's good to know the difference, right? So irá means to leave or will leave. Ira means anger. And the pronunciation is a bit different too. Ira, anger. Ira, will leave. Okay. And it's common to say se irá, me iré. Okay. So this pronoun right here is commonly used. If you say Miguel irá, doesn't make sense. You have to have se. Miguel se irá. Yo me iré. Él se irá. Ustedes se irán. Okay? So don't forget that. Sometimes you will use se when talking about another person or a group of people. Okay? When I'm talking about myself, yo me. Okay? Let me just change this really quickly. Yo me iré. Okay? I will leave. Okay? Tú te irás. You will leave. Okay? Not me. I mean, you will leave. When you're talking about someone else, he, she, or they, you need se. Ellos se irán, for example. Ellos se irán. Oops, irán. They will leave, okay? In this situation, we're talking about Miguel. Oops. Miguel se irá. Without the end there. So, Miguel will leave, okay? En unos días, that's the phrase we're learning. En unos días, in a few days. En means in, unos, a few or some, días, days. Okay, don't forget the accent mark there as well. Now, Miguel se irá en unos días. Miguel will leave in a few days. I'm sorry. I need a little bit of tea. Oops. I will answer your questions when we move on to the next phrase. So I usually talk about the phrase, then I answer questions, talk about the next phrase, and I answer questions, and so on. Okay. I'm watching you. I know that you're leaving some questions there, so just hang on a second. Excellent. Now the next example. The next example, guys. En unos días empezaré a mudarme. En unos días empezaré a mudarme. Once again, we can see that you can use this phrase and the previous ones at the beginning and at the end of the sentence. Okay, so very flexible. You don't have to worry about when should I say this phrase, at the beginning or at the end. Either way works. So I like that. I like that very much. What does this mean? This is an interesting phrase. This means in a few days I will start moving, or I'll start moving in a few days. Okay? En unos días, you know what this means. In a few days. Oops. Empezaré. We're seeing this verb again. Empezar. It's a very common verb. I have a lesson about it. I think it was released today. So please feel free to just check out my channel and you will see the video there. Empezaré a means I will start. Remember, empezar means to begin or to start. And you need the letter A when you want to say I will start, or in this situation, I will start to do something, okay? Empezaré a, I will start. Mudarme. Mudarme comes from the verb mudar. Mudar means to move. When you move to a different place, from one house to another house, from one apartment to the other, or from an office to another office, okay? You're moving your things from one place to another, essentially. Mudar, to move, okay? Not moving as I'm running or I'm walking or dancing. No, we're talking about just moving things from one place to another place. Okay, mudarme, mudar. This is a pronoun, me means me, okay? Mudarme, that whole phrase is similar in this situation to moving, okay? So I'm moving myself to another place. Essentially, that's what you're saying. Okay. En unos días empezaré a mudarme. In a few days, or I will start moving in a few days, or in a few days I will start moving. Excellent. This is a great phrase, guys. Obviously, you can also change this to months. En unos meses. In a few months. Okay? In a few months. Okay? Or en unos años. In a few years. Okay? Very commonly said in Spanish. So this is a very flexible phrase that you can use if you want to talk about years, days, months, and even weeks. But for that, you need to change this to unas, en unas semanas. Oops, one sec, let me fix that for you. There you go. En unas semanas, in a few weeks. And that's because semanas is feminine. And when using this phrase, you will have plural nouns. En unas semanas, en unos años, en unos días, okay? So that's why we're using, in this situation, unas, because semanas is plural and feminine, okay? Excellent. Oops, there you go. I think I had en unos días. Great. Now, let's see. Do you have any questions? Easier to say tomorrow than the day after today. Exactly. Exactly, then. Evan, pregunto porque quería decir he will get his license next year. ¿Se puede decir él sacará la licencia el próximo año también? Yes, you can say that. When you say él sacará la licencia, it's like saying he will do the paperwork for the license next year. But if you're talking about getting the license because the person is expecting to get that delivered, then it's a bit different. You can say él recibirá. Recibir comes from the verb. Recibir is the verb, and it means to get, you know. Recibir, él recibirá, he will get la licencia, or su licencia, his license, next year, el próximo año. You can say that, el próximo. We're going to talk about próximo as well. I believe that's the last phrase we're going to learn. But yeah, yeah, you can say that. You can say that for sure. The previous one, I think, was el año que viene. You can also say that. And it's similar to el próximo año. El año que viene, el próximo año. That means next year. So, yes, that's correct. That's correct. Great question. Oh, it's so good, Evan. Evan, thank you. Thank you for asking that. It's great. I love it. Brianna L., welcome. En unos meses cambiaré de trabajo. Excellent. That's a great example. That's a great example. En unos meses, in a few months. Excellent. Good luck if that's a real thing that will happen in your life. Or if it's just an example, it's great. But if it's also something that will happen in real life, good luck. Good luck. Thank you, Brianna. Cliff Briggs. I love this channel. An opportunity to learn Spanish, a language I always wanted to learn. May I ask what I have to do to be part of the class? Thank you. Well, there's welcome, Cliff. And I mean, you can become a member, a Cafecito member, if you want to support this channel. Also, we have a Spanish community on Discord. It's free. That one is free. The membership has just a very, very cheap fee that is only, I think, less than $3 a month. That supports this channel a lot. But yeah, if you want to join the Spanish community on Discord, just check out the description down below and you'll find the link. Please read the rules before joining the community. It's very important. You're welcome, Brianna. De nada. Okay, let's move on. Thank you so much for all of your questions and comments. I really, really appreciate it. Okay, now let's move on. The next, oops, what happened there? What happened there? Wrong layer. Now, The next phrase is en el futuro. Ooh, okay, we're talking about the future, right? How do you say future in Spanish? El futuro. En means in, so you know what this means. You know already what this means. In the future. And this is even a more vague phrase. The previous one, en unos días, it's vague. And this one is even more. But you're talking about the future regardless, right? So that's a common thing to say in Spanish as well. Let's look at an example. Compraré una casa grande en el futuro. Compraré una casa grande en el futuro. And this phrase is really good when you want to talk about your plans in the future. What do you want to do, right? In this situation, compraré una casa grande en el futuro. You're talking about a property. A casa. Casa, you know what this means, casa. Tu casa es mi casa. No, rather it's the other way around. Mi casa es tu casa. That's a common saying. In America and in Mexico too. And it means, sorry, I just need a sip of this. Okay. This means I will buy a big house in the future. Compraré una casa grande en el futuro. Once again, you can use this phrase en el futuro at the beginning of the sentence or at the end. Very flexible. You can say en el futuro compraré una casa grande or compraré una casa grande en el futuro. Compraré is again future tense. Usually when you talk about the future, you need future tense as well. So yo compraré means I will buy. Comprar means to buy. You don't need yo at the beginning. Yo compraré, you don't need yo. Remember, I always say this, you don't need personal pronouns in Spanish all the time. You need a verb, for sure. Una casa means a house. Grande is an adjective. It helps you describe things, of course, and it doesn't change. There's no feminine, there's no masculine. Grande is grande if you talk about a house or a car or anything. Grande will stay grande. Unless you have a plural noun, then you need a plural adjective. Grandes, okay? So grande or grandes. In this situation, we don't need plural. We need just singular because we're talking about a house. A big house. Grande means big. Grande. Big. En el futuro, you know what that means? In the future. Compraré una casa grande en el futuro. I will buy a big house in the future. Excellent. The next, I always do that. The next example is que no se vuelva a repetir en el futuro. Que no se vuelva a repetir en el futuro. This sounds like something a boss would say. You know, someone who has the authority to say this to you because something happened. I don't know, maybe you were working on something and you made a mistake or something happened. You made a mistake and someone can say to you, que no se vuelva a repetir en el futuro. This means don't let it happen again in the future. Okay, so it's a common thing to say in Spanish. You can also you don't need en el futuro, but you can say it in the future. Just don't let this happen again. Que no se vuelva a repetir is a very, very, very common Spanish phrase. This one right here, it's quite long, but it's worth remembering this because this means don't let it happen again, period. That's it. Don't let it happen again. Que no se vuelva a repetir. Repetir, this verb right here is a verb that means to repeat, okay? And it's very commonly used in Spanish. Repetir. Repite conmigo. Repeat after me, okay? But we're also talking about an action. And if you made a mistake and someone doesn't want you to do it again, this phrase is commonly said, okay, for that situation or in that situation. Que no se vuelva a repetir. Don't let it happen again. Volver a repetir is like doing it over or repeating the same thing, okay? Volver a repetir. So you include this verb, volver, or in this situation, vuelva, because it's conjugated. Vuelva a repetir, to repeat again. But essentially, the whole phrase, que no se vuelva a repetir, means, or it's very similar to, don't let it happen again, okay? En el futuro, in the future, okay? Because if you do it again, who knows? Something might happen, like you can get fired, or if you're dating someone and you made a big mistake and you do it again, what happens? You break up and so on. So yeah, it's a common phrase to say. Que no se vuelva a repetir, and also en el futuro. So just remember that. Excellent. Do you have any questions, guys? Let's see. Okay. Evan, wow, no sabía que sacar licencia significa específicamente hacer el paperwork, o los documentos, llenar las formas, right? Yo solo repito algo que oí de un amigo hispano decir. Okay. Yes. Sacar la licencia is to do the paperwork for the license. And when you're receiving the license is recibir la licencia. Yeah, it's good to know for sure. It's good to know. Cliff, thank you very much. I appreciate. You're welcome. Thank you for stopping by, for watching the lesson. Excellent. Now the next phrase, we have two more, and that will be it for today. So yeah, pretty good. I mean, I'm liking the phrases for sure. They're really helpful, commonly used in Spanish, and yeah, it's pretty interesting. Después de ... Después de ... And that's because we need to add more to the phrase. This is incomplete. The previous ones, you can use them by themselves, okay? If someone is asking, what are you gonna do, or when are you gonna buy a house? In the future, right? You can just say in the future. ¿Cuándo vas a comprar una casa? En el futuro. So that can be just the phrase. But this one, you cannot just say it by itself. You need to add more to it. Now, después de means after. Después by itself means after, but when you want to add more to the sentence, then you need de. Después de. If someone says, when are you going to do something? Después. ¿Cuándo vas a hacer algo? Después. Después. You can say it by itself. But if you want to say more, then you can say después de ... Of course, we're going to see how this phrase works. For example, ¿Quieres? Oh my God, my brush is quite thick. ¿Quieres ir a comer después de... Hang on. De ver. I think I was going to say la película, but I added ver. ¿Quieres ir a comer después de ver la película? ¿Quieres ir a comer después de ver la película? What am I saying here? Do you guys know? Do you guys know? This is a common question when you're going out with someone, or you're with your friends, with your family, boyfriend, girlfriend, and so on, and you want to do something after a certain thing. In this case, ver la película. Okay, what are we talking about? Do you want to go eat after the movie? Right? Maybe the popcorn we're not feeling. Popcorn are not, like popcorn, that's not feeling at all, right? Well, it depends how much you eat, but of them, or of popcorn, but yeah, who knows. Anyways, ¿quieres ir a comer después de ver la película? Do you want to go eat after the movie? Let's see how we have this, how it works. Let's make sense of this. What are we talking about? How does this phrase or question is structured? ¿Quieres? It's like saying tú quieres, okay? We don't need tú, you just use the verb. ¿Quieres? Means, do you want? ¿Quieres? Ir a, to go. Ir a is a common thing, these two words. Ir means to go. A, when you want to add more to the verb, to the phrase. ¿Quieres ir a comer? Eat. Después, we have the phrase here, después de, after. Ver la película, similar to saying, the movie or watching the movie. Do you want to go eat after watching the movie? That's the translation. But in English, it's common to say after the movie, right? In Spanish, can also be said, ¿quieres ir a comer después de la película? Okay? I just wanted to be more literal, so you know about the verb ver. Ver means to see, to watch. ¿Quieres ir a comer después de ver la película? Do you want to go eat after the movie? Common question. Really common question. And I would say yes. I would say yes. Sí, por favor. Oh, man. Después de. You can also say, if you don't want to say ver la película, you can just say, ¿quieres ir a comer después? You're already doing something. And if you say this, that means después, after you're doing what you're doing. After. But, yeah, it's like saying like that. Do you want to go eat after? Same thing. If you want to say the whole thing, you can, of course. But yeah, that's a common question. Now, the next one. Volví a ver a mis amigas después de unos años. Volví a ver, we're using ver again, a mis amigas después de unos años. And we're using de unos años. Do you remember this phrase? We talked about it minutes ago. De unos años, de unos días. Or no, it was en unos años. So it's different. But we're saying again años unos años. So you know what that means, right? The whole thing means I saw my friends again after a few years. And of course, you can say, volví a ver a mis amigas en unos años, but we're using después de. Después de is also commonly said in Spanish. So let's break this down. Volví, yo volví, present tense, and it means I saw. Volver a is commonly used as well. Volví a, and then the verb ver, or I saw. Volví a ver. Well, that's the thing. Volví a ver. Sorry about that. What am I saying here? Volver a ver. This whole phrase. I'm so sorry. I don't know what's happening to me today. But volví a ver means I saw again. Okay, I saw again. I saw again. Volví a ver a Miguel ayer. I saw Miguel again yesterday. But volver a ver means I saw, to see again. I saw again. Volví a ver. I saw again. In the situation, a mis amigas, ver a is also used commonly. Volví a ver a. Again, I saw again. Mis amigas, my friend, my friends, después de, that's the phrase we're learning, after. Unos años, después de unos años, after a few years, okay? Después de unos años, después de unos días, después de unas horas even. And that's a common thing to say in Spanish. In this situation, años means years. So you can technically add something like después de unos años, right? Could be 1 años. Let me just get this up here. And let me just fix this for you. Let me fix this for you. There you go. Let's just see some options here. So you know how to use this, right? Because it's an incomplete phrase. Después de unos años, after a few years, okay? After a few years. Después de, even you can say después de unas horas. Horas means hours, okay? After a few hours, right? Después de unas horas. Unas because horas is feminine and plural. Después de unos días. Without the H. There you go. And the dot. Damn it. After a few days. Okay, so you pretty much have to say this. Add this to the phrase. And it can be days, hours, minutes, years, months, whatever you want. But just remember, you need a indefinite article, un, unos. Well, in this situation, yeah, it can be un, una, unos, unas. So those are the indefinite articles, okay? This one's right here. With that one, there is, well, un, a, una, a, unos, few, a few, unas, a few, okay? So you can say después de un día. Technically, you can say that after 1 day. Un in this situation means 1, a day, okay? Un día. 1 day. Una semana can also be said. And that would be after a week, okay? After a week. So it's very flexible, guys. You can say so many things, or you can do a lot of things with just después de. And this is a very, very common phrase to talk about the future, okay? So do you guys have any questions? I try to simplify this as much as possible. No questions? No questions at all? Okay. Después de es lo mismo que luego de y tras. Yes. Tras is tricky though. Tras, luego de, it's more common. Después de, very common. Tras, it's more like, for example, if I want to add tras to this. ¿Quieres ir a comer tras la película? Tras ver la película? I don't know. It's not commonly said. Tras is commonly said when you're narrating something, when you're telling a story. Tras unos años, after a few years, Miguel encontró la casa de sus sueños. Miguel found his dream house, right? So it's more like a story thing. You're telling a story. It's a bit old. I would say tras is an old word. Sorry. Luego de works here. ¿Quieres ir a comer luego de ver la película? It works. This can be said. It's commonly said in Spanish. Or después de. Después de. Okay, después de, luego de, commonly said in Spanish. Great question, or great comment, Brianna. Evan, está bien. Está bien. Muy bien. Eso me gusta. Excellent. Now, the last phrase, guys. The last one. We have just one more. Let's see what we have. Let's see. El próximo. I believe Evan said próximo. El próximo año. So we're going to talk about el próximo. No, el próximo. La próxima. ... So it can be either one. El próximo, la próxima. And this means next. Similar to el año que viene, la semana que viene, similar to that phrase we learned. And this one is different, but similar. El próximo, la próxima. And I really like how these words sound. Próximo, it sounds like a name almost. Próximo, próxima, right? It sounds very nice. Remember the accent mark on top of the letter O. That's very important to remember. Otherwise, it would read el próximo. And you want it to say, or you want the right intonation, el próximo, okay? You have the emphasis on the first syllable, próximo. Excellent. For example, el próximo mes es la boda de María. El próximo mes es la boda de María. This means next month is Maria's wedding. Big event. Okay? So, el próximo mes. Of course, once again, we have the ... because you need to add more to the phrase. El próximo mes means next month. We talked about mes. We don't need el próximo, el mes. You don't need double definite article, el. You just need one, and then add próximo, and then the noun in this situation, mes. It could be año, year, día, day. Can be, what else? Week, semana. Okay, el próximo año. Day, I'm not sure if day. El próximo día. I don't think day works there. Next day. But for sure, mes, semana, año, month, week, year. Or semana, mes, año, week, month, year. Okay? Es la boda, is wedding, not Maria's yet. La boda means wedding. La boda. When you add de, you have this similar thing in English. Possessive. The apostrophe. María, de María. When you say de María, Marías. Okay? You can use de for other things if you're talking about belongings. For example, el libro de María, Maria's book. La casa de María, Maria's house. Okay? So remember that. In this situation, la boda, we're talking about a wedding. And who's getting married? María. Who's getting married? It's Maria. Maria's wedding. Excellent. So the last example, guys, and that's going to be the last phrase, the last example, the last everything for today. And let's do this. Let's do this. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching this stream. I appreciate it a lot. Muchas gracias. Okay. Mi prima me visitará la próxima semana. Mi prima me visitará la próxima semana. This means my cousin will visit me next week. We have week right now, right here. Mes, month, semana, week. Good. Good. Mi prima. Oops, my underlining is bad. Bad, guys. You know this by now if you watch the streams or if you watch my videos. Mi prima, my cousin. Prima, female cousin. Primo, male cousin. Okay? So it's interesting to know the difference there because prima, primo mean cousin, right? But prima, feminine, primo, masculine. Me visitará will visit me, okay? And me, visitará comes from the verb visitar, which means to visit. Future tense, will visit, visitará. La próxima semana, next week. Or the phrase we learned before, la semana que viene. So either one works. Now we're learning próxima, próximo, and that's why we have here la próxima semana. Próxima, próximo can be used, but also it can be plural when you're talking about months, years. So how does this work? If you want to have plural. So let's do it really quickly. En los próximos años trabajaré en Mexico, for example, right? Just let me fix that for you. Okay, and I need to move everything right here. Well, this one just right here because I want you to see everything. And I'm gonna remove that. Okay. En los próximos años trabajaré en México. So you will work in Mexico the next years. Okay. I don't know why the font looks weird. There you go. That's better. So it's like saying, I will work in Mexico, the next years. That's the translation. You can say tres, en los próximos 3 años, in the next 3 years. Okay, tres. Let me just do this. Tres. En los próximos 3 años trabajaré en México. I will work in Mexico in the next 3 years. Right? It makes more sense like that. So if you don't have en, it sounds quite weird, right? Los próximos 3 años. So it's commonly said en los próximos 3 años. Okay, so it's a bit different if you want to do it or make it plural, right? Here, mi prima me visitará en la próxima semana. It's more commonly said la próxima semana without the en word, okay? So it depends, of course, what you want to say. You can also say en la próxima semana. You know, you can say something will happen next week, in the next week, of course. So it can vary a little bit. But when talking about years, sometimes you will have to say en, okay? It depends again on the it depends on the situation. Okay, so that is it, guys. Do you have any questions? Please let me know. Welcome, que yes. ¿Cómo te va? Me va muy bien. Muchas gracias. ¿Y a ti cómo te va? Excellent. So we learned quite a few phrases, many phrases, and all of them very, very good, very helpful, very common, very, very useful, I would say. You know, if you want to talk about the future, what you're thinking about, you know, doing, what do you want to do next year, next month, next week, next day, next minute, next hour, right? And usually, well, it depends. You want to say something vague, you can say en el futuro, right? Or en unos días, en unas semanas, en unos años. That's vague. If you want to be more precise, you can say el fin de semana que viene, next weekend, or la semana que viene, next week, el mes que viene, next month, of course. Or if you want to just say that something will happen tomorrow, you can say mañana. That one is very useful. We have después de, if you want to, you know, you want to do something after whatever you're doing. That is a common phrase to use, después de. el próximo, la próxima, we're talking about, more things that will happen in the future, and you can use all of them to express yourself and to just let people know what you're gonna do. Or maybe the people will tell you, or ¿Haces italki lecciones? No. I'm not on italki. I've checked that out. I remember I did look up that option long time ago, but it's I don't know why I didn't do it. I might take a look again. I can take a look and let you know, guys. But usually I do this more like on my YouTube channel. I like to just live stream, and I think it's very good because you get to ask questions. So it's pretty much like an italki thing, similar, because you are interacting with me in real time. And but one-on-one lessons or something like that, I don't do due to time because I do a lot every day, and I'd rather have or I'd rather stream for all of you once a week, because that's what I can do. But I can take a look again and see, and I will let you know for sure. I will let you know. Thank you, Evan, for just asking that. Lindsay, let's see. En las próximas semanas miraré más lecciones de este canal porque voy a viajar a un país que habla español. That's awesome, Lindsay. Qué bueno que vas a ver más lecciones, más de mis lecciones. Te deseo mucha suerte en tu viaje, a donde sea que vayas. Mucha suerte y vas a ver que todo va a estar muy bien. Lindsay, I mean, feel free to watch all the lessons. I have so many lessons, guys. I don't even remember what lessons I have, but just feel free to browse my channel, and I wish you good luck and a happy trip. A really good trip. Okay. En las próximas semanas. And by the way, if that was an example, just an example, Lindsay, that's great. En las próximas semanas, or en la próxima semana. Remember that you have to match gender and quantity when speaking Spanish. So if we're talking about 1 week, you need to use singular adjectives and adverbs and all of that. If it's plural, then everything goes plural. I know it's a pain in the buns, but that's how Spanish works. Okay. Yeah, I see, Lindsay. Semanas. I see the correction. Good. Great example. Evan, o algo así? Algo así like italki? No, I don't have anything like that. But I'll take a look. I'll let you know, guys. I'll let you know, Evan. KS. Cuando obtengo mi licencia de conducir comercial, trabajaré. Cuando obtenga mi licencia de conducir comercial, trabajaré por tránsito de Broward. ¿Para el tránsito de Broward? Okay. That's right. That's right. Great example. KS, thanks for sharing. Evan. Buenas noches, profe. Buenas noches. Muchas gracias por ver este en vivo. Thank you so much for watching this stream. Thank you, Evan, for the donation. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Remember, guys, that another way to support the channel is by giving the thumbs up. That helps me a lot. And also you can subscribe, of course, that helps me too. And remember that I live stream every week. I usually live stream on Tuesday, but if you don't want to miss out, just click on the bell icon so you can get notified by YouTube every time I live stream. You need to activate all the notifications. So when you click on the bell icon, you need to check all the activate all the notifications so you get everything about this channel, all the notifications and whatnot. And well, thank you so much again for tuning in. Remember that I have a Spanish community on Discord. If you want to join, it's free. Please read the rules before joining the community, and the link to that is in the video description down below. Thank you again. Take care. Muchas gracias por ver este en vivo. Nos vemos a la próxima. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Adiós.